Welcome to We Have a Spiritual Problem, a podcast where we explore the profound intersections of personal growth, resilience, and the human spirit. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Armstrong. Today, I am honored to welcome Dr. Robb Kelly, a world-renowned addiction expert, entrepreneur, and advocate for sustained recovery and optimal performance. Dr. Robb's journey from homelessness and addiction to becoming a trailblazer in the field of neuroscience coaching and recovery is nothing short of extraordinary. Known as the Gordon Ramsay of addiction treatment, his unconventional yet highly effective methods boast a 97% success rate. His expertise extends beyond addiction recovery, offering mentorship to aspiring entrepreneurs and fostering a culture of innovation and responsible risk-taking. In this episode, we'll delve into Dr. Robb's powerful story of transformation, his evidence-based approaches like brain spotting, and the spiritual awakening that changed his life. We'll also explore his dedication to helping others overcome challenges like childhood trauma, lifestyle changes, and building resilience. Dr. Robb's work has touched countless lives, from everyday individuals to professionals and celebrities, and his impact is evident in his appearances on platforms like The Doctors, the Knocking Doors Down podcast, and academic lectures at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Join us as we uncover the profound spiritual and psychological principles behind Dr. Robb's work and discuss how his insights can inspire us to confront life's challenges with courage and purpose. Dr. Robb, welcome to the We Have a Spiritual Problem podcast. First question I have for you, is it true that Gordon Ramsay is referred to as the Robb Kelly of restaurant fixing?
Oh man, I'm going to tell him that. He'll be laughing his head off. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. No, I don't know, man, but that's a great and I tell you why that question is, guys, in case you're thinking that was a crazy intro by Dr. Jeff. They call me the Gordon Ramsay of addiction, and Gordon's one of my dearest friends. So yeah, that question was awesome. Best question ever. We're off to a good start here, Doc.
Well, I hear that description of you, and I can only imagine what your therapy sessions are like. It's not just, so tell me about your relationship with your mother. It's like, you're a fucking asshole. Why are you drinking?
It can that's been said a few times in sessions. We are different to everybody else out there. Millions and millions of treatment centers and stuff. We're just different because we're kind of neuroscientists, uh, and we've all been through the stuff. But yeah, it's either you're all in or out kind of thing. We do an assessment before you come on. The reason why we have a 98% success rate with 9,500 patients is we're not messing around here, man. You can't come in here and give me a checkbook and say we can't. We've done that before. We've turned millions of dollars down for pop stars that weren't ready. You've got to be in or you've got to be out, and that's one of things I carried close to me because I was in 10, 20 treatment centers when I was struggling and nobody had the answer. So we're the only company that offers you a money back guarantee if you relapse after leaving us. And people go, that you can't what. I'm telling you now, nobody's ever come back because this is serious. If you misbehave, I've told people get the fuck out the office and next day they come back and they're ready for work. So yeah, whatever it takes is the way I look at it.
So before we kind of really start, can you share with our audience a little bit about your background and how you came to be where you're at in terms of treating alcohol addiction?
So just in case you're thinking from East Texas, guys, I'm actually from Manchester in England, born into a poor family, working class, lower working class. My dad worked for the gas company. He dug the roads to lay the pipe, and my mum cleaned other people's houses. And I took my first drink at the age of 9 on stage with my musical family. I was playing bass guitar. And then kind of it took off from there. Nobody knew about alcoholism and stuff like that back then. So grandfather liked to drink is probably the news you'll get to that. And it just kind of I relied on it as a kid and then through teens and something good. And I always wanted to be a professional musician. That's what I wanted to do. So with the alcoholic mind, which is kind of the addictive personality, we either do things or we don't. So I wanted to become the best bass guitarist in the world, just like I'm the best addiction doctor in the world right now. And I set about that and finally ended up at Abbey Road, played with Queen, Bowie, Elton John, all them guys, because I have that personality and that mindset. And then everything was going great, and then it didn't. Got married, went to college, uh, had two children, and then everything was wiped away in a violent stroke, blackout, stroke, evil person, and ended up on the streets. That's where it took me.
And I think if you described your coming out of that as kind of a spiritual awakening, and that's what kind
Oh,
of woke me up to having you on this podcast, because I think, you have a story to tell that, when we talk about addiction, addiction's described as a disease, but as somebody that teaches pathophysiology and exercise class, we tend to think of disease as something that is, you know, we catch. And
yeah.
there's a lot more to addiction than just something we catch. So can
100%, man. I love that. I love you said that. So I'll make a statement now right out the gate that people are going to freak out on, but Google me, you'll see it's right. Alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. Alcoholics have the predisposition. It's the only disease you can pass down from generation to generation. Well, people think they can pass heart disease. Oh, heart problems. My dad had heart problems. It's in the family. No, biologically impossible. Well, this is what happens, guys. So the family at home, when you're living with them, mom and dad, they have a staple diet. Most people do. So let's say he can't methylate onions, for instance. Because he can't methylate onions, every time he eats it, he can't methylate it. There becomes a deficiency. That deficiency causes, for instance, the heart problems. So when I leave the house, I have the same kind of staple diet, and then I'm, let's say, allergic to the onions, and that's what causes it. And I think I've caught it off dad. That's not true. It's a complete myth. So you can't drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. Not true. You can't do that. It's impossible. So what happens is, and this is why it's a disease. So drug addiction is the addictive personality. Most people that come to here, 93, 94% of heroin addicts started in the doctor's office. So we have that all that stuff to back us up. But alcoholics are born differently. First of all, uh, we hear things different. But secondly, the hypothalamus, which is our survival part. So there's a hypothalamus, basal ganglia, amygdala that differ in alcoholics and any other human being around. And the hypothalamus is our survival part of the brain. So from birth, it tells us subconsciously we need to eat food, drink water to survive. That is it. Okay, that's what we got to do. It becomes a working part of the mind. Everything's good. Once we don't eat, all crazy things happen to us, and we start to wonder, and we don't have food and sleep, and the mind goes crazy. But what happens with the alcoholic, not the drug addict, the alcoholic, is the hypothalamus, the survival part of the brain. And this is why, again, the disease, because the choice is taken away. The hypothalamus tells it alcoholic to drink alcohol only. That's why I've been go days or weeks without food or water when the survival part of the brain is telling me to survive, I need to drink alcohol. And we're in that fight or flight stage. And that's why alcohol comes before my kids and everything else, my wife, everything else, because I have to do it. The basal ganglia is our repetition, strength, and confirms part of the brain, and it's broken. So alcoholics or drug addicts, this is imagine a clock face. 12 o'clock we relapse, 10 after we start getting sober, 20 after the wife and kids come back, after everything's going good, 22 we get a job offer, and 10 to the hour we self-sabotage for no reason at all. Let's go back to the hypothalamus. You can't, nobody can give me a reason why they relapse. Now, they'll give me 1,000 excuses, and that's the reason. And that's what differs us from any other treatment center or facility or psychologist out there, is it's all about, you need to know what's going on. And neuroscience tells us today everything you knew about addiction is a myth. But God bless them, they didn't know. I mean, for instance, if you go to the doctor and you've got heroin addiction and you go into treatment and you come home and you're on Suboxone, great. I love Suboxone as a taper. If you're still on it 12 months ago, guess what? The brain doesn't know the difference between pharmaceutical drugs and the drugs from the doctor, drugs on the street. The brain doesn't know the difference. So you ask yourself, are you still clean? And it's not even about being clean and sober. It's about doing something with your life, having that spiritual connection. So then we did some more studies on that, Doc, and this is what happened. The mind runs the brain. We can program the mind to run the brain, hence the saying mind over matter, brain's matter. So if we can program the brain every morning when we get up, well, we can. Okay. When the brain is energy, you can't touch it, feel it, see it, connects with another energy outside you, and the neural pathways are repatterned like what we do, your DNA changes. Boom, you're not the same person anymore. How can you relapse? Well, you can't. You really can't. But unfortunately, there are people around, millions and millions of them, who want to sit you down, who's never been through alcoholism, but got 20 degrees on the wall, say they're a counselor in addiction, I have a master's, can't help me because you don't understand what I'm going through.
So, how would you describe your spiritual or philosophical perspective and how it shaped your worldview?
I had a huge spiritual awakening on the streets. So I would never tell this story for, I would say, 20 years, 15 years. I was too scared to tell people because they thought I was insane. I'd had enough of that. Once I shared it, everyone else was going, "Oh my God, yes, I've had a sim." It's like, what? I'm on the streets. It's early in the morning. I've died twice on the streets already with 7 suicide attempts. Around the back ends of Manchester, there's nobody there. It's factories and office blocks only. It's around 2 a.m. Fall down to my hands and knees. It's raining. I'm an atheist. How can there be a God or a spiritual guy up there that's took me through all this, took my kids off me, ripped my heart out so many times? I dropped down to my hands and knees and I looked up to the sky and I said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. I don't go to church now. I don't read the Bible, but there is a spiritual aspect that is huge in my life. When I said that, 30 seconds later, middle of nowhere, a guy calls Derek walks around the corner. He's missed his last Bible study home. So for the first time in his life, he had to walk back home, which is like 2 hours. And then he takes a shortcut that he's never taken before, and he came upon me. So he said, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "I'm dying." And I took me back to his house. He says, "I'm a Christian. I'm in recovery. I'll help you, but you need to come to these AA meetings." And I'm like, "Oh, God, I hate them meetings, man. And all war stories and everyone's sad and miserable. They've been sober for like 100 years." And he said, "You got to come, Rob, otherwise you can't stay here." Okay, I'll come. Sure enough, went to the meeting, and then we sit in a circle in the UK. So first of all, it started off, my name's John, I'm miserable, blah, blah, blah. I drank 2 bottles a day. And it's like, oh, here we go. So I'm almost checked out of this meeting psychologically. And this guy said, "My name's John and I'm a recovered alcoholic." And I looked over to him and I said to Derek, "What did he say?" He said he was recovered. You can't recover from this bullshit. What's he talking about? But he talked like I've never heard anybody talk before. He talked with precise diction. He referred to the book. He was God. It was this spiritual journey. It was all over. So after I went to him and said, "Hey, John, my name's Rob. Will you be my sponsor?" And he said, "No." I was like, just before I started crying or something, I don't know what I was going to do. He said, "I'll be your spiritual advisor for a period of 12 weeks. I went on to that man's house every Wednesday, left Derek's at 6, got there for 7, stayed till 8, walked home for 9. I could knock at the door at 5 to 7, and at 1 minute to 8, he would walk me out no matter what we were talking about, which I thought was odd. After 12th night I was there, they came out of there a different person, and he told me life would change from tomorrow. And John, I love you, man, but I live in Derek's basement on a blow up mattress. I don't think anything's going to change for me tomorrow." Very next day, Derek comes home from work. I'm doing the dishes, and he said, "Hey, the guy that sweeps the floor in the factory has just resigned. Do you want a job?" It's like, "Oh, okay then." Yeah, didn't think about John. First pay packet, 2 weeks later, I went to the gas station and I got a little teddy bear. That's all I could afford, and a card. And I wrote on a card, "Thank you for introducing me to God." He took the composter away to drain. And I went back to his house, and nobody there in the apartment. So when I was knocking, the girl in the right hand opened the door and says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, where's John moved or something? What's going on?" He said, "John who?" "John." And she went on to tell me she'd only been there a couple of months and she'd never seen anybody there. So I let her close the door. I went to the left hand, banged on the door, and this big guy came. "What do you want?" So "Where's John moved to? Has he moved away or something?" He said, "John who?" I said, "The guy next door to you. What's wrong with you? You guys, are you high or something?" He went on to tell me that that apartment was derelict, and if you walked in the front door, you would drop down to the basement and probably die. So I think these guys are a pair of nutters. So I go back to the meeting the next night, and as I walked in, and this has been like 4 months since, the chairman went, "Oh, Robert, great to see you." I said, "Thank God for that. You remember me." "Oh, yeah, we remember you, man." He said, "Does John still come here?" He said, "John who?" I said, "John, I was over near the coffee machine, asked him to sponsor me. He said no." said, brother, you were over near the coffee machine speaking to yourself. We've never found that man. And when I started to get wealthy, I put the best private detective in England, and they could never trace him. But the stuff I do today is 90% of what he taught me. And 30 years later, whatever time it has been, I'm still doing a mixture of psychology, behavioral science, 9D breathwork therapy, and John's teachings. And that's why I think I have some kind of monopoly on getting people well.
Can I just say I get chills as you told that story?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? See, you understand why I won't tell it for so long because no one's going to believe that, and I just wanted to start getting people well, and people get people are getting well, man. I mean, we're doing what we got to do, but many years on, I sat down with a friend of mine, and he just said, "What do you think John was?" I said, "He had to be an angel, didn't he?" And he smiled. He said, "Yeah, man, I think so." So yeah, so that's how I got off the streets, and that's how I came over here, and so many things that's happened to me on my journey. The hospital killed me once because they overdosed me with a painkiller, a huge back injury. And I was saved last minute. I got cancer. They put me down to the operating system. They're gone. They couldn't find the cancer. I mean, there's just a million stories like that that I go, listen, here now, my journey to where I am now is humanly impossible. Humanly impossible. I had to have some kind of help on my spiritual journey.
That's why I capitalize the word purpose.
Mm.
I feel like everything happens for a reason, and it's a lot of it is unexplainable, and it may be very well that something that happens to me may trickle down and affect somebody else miles away from me who I will never meet. But it something happened to me, good or bad, for whatever reasons. And I'm going to ask you a question now that I sometimes ask people, and I've had asked to me, and I had no real intention of asking this question in today's interview, but I'm going to ask it. If you could go back in time and change one thing, what would you change?
The loss of my children, which was a major thing, not just one thing, but that one, the loss of my children. Uh, they were taken away from me by uh, the authorities, the child protection, the police. I'd got them for 2 days and I was drunk for 2 days and they weren't fed or changed diapers for 2 days and the authorities took them off. That incident where the police knocked so well, they didn't knock on the door, they kicked the freaking door down because I was unconscious with alcohol, vodka bottles all over the place, and they rescued my children before they died. We got to the door and I was crying. And guys, if you've been through the stuff I've been through, the disease and stuff like that, you'll realize this. My heart was tore out, but it didn't stop me drinking. And as I walked, the 3-year-old was walking with mummy's hand down the path, and mother-in-law like the 1-year-old. And she said three things to me, Doc. She says, "Daddy, Daddy, please don't go." I was crying. One of the police officers was crying, which I thought was weird, but he was sad. And it's affected but me and my children. And then halfway down the path, she turned around and she said, "Daddy, Daddy, please get better." And as she got to the iron gate, the wrought iron gate at the yard, she turned around one more time and she said, "Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking." I couldn't do it. So that one thing there I'd like to change is they probably never saw that. Change that instant right there.
Nope. And I always this podcast, I'm finding I have these very long pauses of these just wow kind of I got to stop and collect myself kind of moments. But how has that affected them now? Where are they at in their lives, in your life? If I can ask that question.
Of course you can. Of course, they were estranged for 30 years. Both needed therapy on the stuff that happened. I mean, for goodness sake, I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she won't let me finish my bottle of vodka. That's the kind of person I was. Um, 4 years ago, like I sent him cards, I sent him everything. And every Christmas, I used to send him a Christmas card, Doc, and every birthdays, I send him a birthday. But I sent it to my mom because the ex-wife would have nothing to do with me, and rightly so. But I sent it to my mom, and just as a side note, I've been doing this for like I don't know, at least 20 years. I've been in America. And then my mum passed away about 2, 3 years ago. And my sister and me and a friend went to mum and dad's house. Dad passed away and were collecting all the stuff and throwing shit out. And he was like a dresser thing on the side of the bedroom. And we opened it up, and there was every single birthday card and Christmas card that I'd ever sent. And it was just mind blowing. So, guys, dads, if you, and moms, if you're in a situation, keep sending, keep loving. It'll all turn around, I promise you. It will really all turn around. But 4 years ago, middle of the night, I'm on alert 24/7 with my patients. I'm a concierge doctor. Ping, messenger. I got it blurry eyed in bed. I looked at it, and it said it was from Charlie. That's my eldest daughter, Charlotte. And it says, "Hey, Dad." And she called me Dad for the first time. I've actually got that. I've actually got that message framed on my wall. And I'm working with people, and I've lost a house because I couldn't afford to pay, and I'm working with people, and I knew one day I'll get repaid. And he says, "Hey, Dad, I've seen you on TV over here. I've been struggling to come to terms, and I now realize it was all a bunch of lies that Mom and everybody told me about you. I want to see you. I've got something to show you." So I'm surrounded, as you can imagine, with people that do shit for me. So within 3 hours, I'm on a plane over to England, me and my wife. And we get there, stayed in a hotel. And next morning, we went round. I'm nervous, man. I stood on the doorstep of her house, and all that stuff came back. What sort of father were you? You were never there to protect her. And I'm crying, and my wife's crying, and we're holding hands. Like, there's got to be something. And she opened the door without us knocking, which surprised us. So we hugged, we cried there, we laughed a little bit on the stairs of a house, and then she took me by my hand and she walked me into her living room, and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter right there and then. So that girl now is my lead therapist in my Manchester, UK office. And she's a great therapist, and we have an amazing relationship. And then 8 weeks ago, my youngest daughter got in contact with me after 32 years. And we're now having conversations, and we're going over to England to see her probably in February. So long times of no children, which affects everybody. It affected me, it affected them. And we're all reunited. So I'm finally a dad again, a real dad rather than a part-time dad. So yeah, I mean that's the children. They're both doing good. They both are still in therapy. All this time on, they're still in therapy once a week just to talk things out in case it comes up. What one doesn't realize is the damage done psychologically with that. The damage done when two parents split up. Now, if two parents split up and they're happy and they both decide it's better for the kids rather than staying together and fighting every night, I mean, we know that. But the estrangement, the loss of completely with never uh, a thought from them, no doubt for me, or me for them sometimes. And it was just painful. It was a painful lesson. So between the loss of my children and the homelessness and the dying twice on the streets and almost killing my wife and all the other crazy stuff I did on the streets, when I was on the streets, it's like I hated everybody and anything. Uh, I went from $1 million house to the streets. How the fuck does that happen? But when I look back now, it's like a semester at Harvard University, the teachings and the trials and the going through and the experiences to when I get to today, people will come up to me now, Doc, and go, "Hey, Doctor, what do you know, man? Are you kidding me? I've seen your houses, your cars. I've seen your expensive watches. I've seen you. What do you know about homelessness? That check. What do you about losing your kids? Check. What do you know about? It's all checked, man. It's all checked off. And one of the reasons why I do podcasts is that I don't want any work from this. I'm not trying to advertise myself. Guys, go and Google me. I've got enough money, enough faces. I don't need anything. I have one thing that not a lot of people have, and that is enough. But if we could save one person today, Doc, if we can save one person that I can identify with, we've done our job today. And you'll never see me sell shit. Well, we're going to give some books away at the end of the show, but I'm not here for that. I'm here because I'm 63 years old, man. I could retire tomorrow. I could retire right now, walk out, buy an island, stay on there the rest of my life. No. So what do we do with that? How do we stay sane with that? Well, 25% of our work is pro bono. Me and my wife give $150,000 back a year out of our own bank account to people who need help, one parent families, alcoholics who want to go to court and get the kids back. We do all of that. The Robb Kelly Foundation was founded, and we're exaggerating. And that's what keeps me alive today, man. It's just like the look on somebody's face when I'm driving past a gas station and I see a woman and she's trying to squeeze like $5 worth of cash, and she's got like four cars in the back of a 30-year-old car, and then I pull in, she must think I'm insane, and I fill a tank up and I give her $100 or something, and that is my payment in full today, because Derek did that for me that time. I just want to be people's Derek. That's all.
See, now when I am asked that question, and for me, I've not had anywhere near the life that you have experienced. My answer has always been nothing, because I know that if I change anything in my past, my trajectory is going to change, and who knows where I would be right now. And I think deep down, you would probably answer the same way, despite all that pain and hurt
Of
and
course.
everything.
Yeah.
You would not be where you were at and as capable as you are right now had all that not happened. And it's a sad thing to think of, that my life could have been so much better. But the reality is, without that pain and that tension in our lives, and this is why I think the majority, if not all, of the problems that we face in life are spiritual problems, because it's how we interact with the universe, whether you want to call that a God,
100%.
whether you want to just call it an energy, or just simply the world itself.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Obviously, the quick answer is nothing, because it's made me what I am.
Yeah.
It's made my children what they are. I mean, the journey is, what's that old Chinese saying? Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, something happens to you, you think it's bad. Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it good or is it bad? So my badness became good. So without going through that, I wouldn't be who I am today. I won't be where I am today. So yeah, I 100% agree. And I always say to people, there's 3,500 gods. Just freaking pick one, whether that be universe, Uncle Jimmy. It just has to be a power greater than you for the DNA to change, and that connection needs to happen. But yeah, looking back in hindsight now, I'm glad I went through everything that happened, because I I reach a lot of people with that experience, because they obviously see me now. I can't believe you're an alcoholic. And I said, I know, Ryan, you could be the same. This is the change. So it's like somebody coming out of college with a master's in drug addiction and alcoholism, but never been there. It's like being dropped in the middle of China and me saying to somebody, hey, can you tell me where John Street is? And they go, well, I've never been there, I think. I'm not sure. But if you go down there and turn left, I mean, I don't know, man. And you're never going to get there, man. But if you stop at a guy and he said, I know exactly where I used to live there, man, I'll show you exactly where it is, man. And that's the people that we want to be. All my staff are recovered alcoholics and addicts, all of them, or childhood trauma and stuff like that. So it's really important that we've been through the stuff, unfortunately.
So what is different about what you do in treatment than the 12-step programs that gives you so much greater success?
So first of all, when I say I got sober in AA, the book of AA, the Alcoholics Anonymous book, is the most sophisticated, knowledgeable book in the world pertaining to the recovery of an alcoholic and drug addict. Let's say that straight away. The meetings, sometimes in my where I've been full of idiots. So the difference is why are people concentrating on the alcohol or the drug? It's 1%. So what we do is we get to the cause and conditions, get to the root problem. And the root problem is, with the neuroscience around it, is first of all, childhood trauma is the gateway drug. So the book addresses that in step 4 and 5, and then I think it's 8. I'm not sure. I've not been to AA for about 4 years now. But it doesn't go into it in depth, of course. That's why the books will be 2,000 pages to read. It's like, so yeah, let's not concentrate on the alcohol. Let's not concentrate on the drugs. Let's go back to the childhood trauma, the gateway drug. Let's clear it. And everybody has childhood trauma, but it's not the childhood trauma that you think is. You said something before, Doc, is how you feeling. Tell me how you feeling today. Well, in this company, we fucking tell you how you feeling today until you get your feelings back. So we're aggressive, we're kind, we're laughable, we're cryable, it's whatever it takes to fully recover from this disease or depression or whatever. We will go to any length because we're concierge service. It's like when you come on board, you are the most important person in this company, either with your therapist or with me. And we get down to what's really causing it. I mean, it's more than alcoholism. When somebody comes up and says to you, 99 people come up and say you're amazing, and one person said you were crap, and you concentrate on that one person that said you were crap for the next 3 months and possibly relapse more than the alcohol. When you're making decisions based on the tragedy of the past, it's more than alcohol. When you start something and never finish, when you almost get to something you want to do, like a CEO job, or get you black out and you come away from it and you don't do it because you're not worthy, we know it's more than the alcohol. Whether you're never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough, we know it's more than the alcohol. So it's kind of that thing. Alcohol is very rarely mentioned in. I don't call myself an alcoholic, recovered alcoholic these days. The problem has been done. It's finished. It's over. So what we concentrate on as well is 300 neural pathways die inside the head every day, every single day. The key thing is, what are you replacing them with? What new thought patterns? I had thought patterns from the past, thought patterns that I can't do this, thought patterns I'm an alcoholic. Oh my God, them thought patterns. Because we treat the basal ganglia, hypothalamus, and the amygdala, central nervous system, all that stuff, the trauma. That's what makes us different. We have stuff like 9D breathwork therapy. We have brain spotting. We have all the new technology that neuroscience backs today. So I know I'm long-winded with the answer, but the couple of word answer is we're neuroscientists, man. We have the key. You can recover from anything that you're going through. You can literally be anybody you want to be. And years ago, Doc, I used to say it to people, I don't know, 10 years ago over here, and they go, well, I can't be president of the United States. Forget your political views for a second, guys. We had a freaking businessman running the country with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. It's not true, guys. Somebody's put that there. Babies are born with two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it.
Yeah.
The rest are man made. Wait till your father gets home. If you don't do this, you can't do that. Rob, are you kidding me? That's like 100 grand a year. You can't do it. Really? Says who? That's my answer. Says who? You can't be happy every day. Says who? Where are you getting your information from? Because I don't like them rules. I'm not playing by them. So I'm going to be happy in your face every day. Now, do I have bad days? I have better days than others. Obviously, I'm a human being, but it's up to me to inspire. It's up to me to lead people with the excitement I have about recovery. I do a book study every Saturday morning to a homeless shelter where we go through the big book and we talk about stuff. My father died on the Thursday night as I was there on the Saturday morning. When I got the phone call Thursday night, he's in England, I'm here, San Antonio. When the family called, I was crying, I was upset, I was crying. I just about made my amends to him a few years ago properly. And I went to do that book study, and that one person knew of what happened. What? It's none of their concern. Why am I going to go into a place? Oh, listen, Father, before we start, guys, I want to tell my dad died. What? That's why God gave me sponsors and therapists and doctors and wives and girlfriends. He's like, that's none of your business. I'm here to inspire. And that's what makes us different is if you come into this workplace, I don't care if you're my wife or my personal assistant, which I love dearly. If you come here with a bad attitude or a bit depressed, I will send you home and you don't get paid. It's not about us.
So do you think this, as we're calling a spiritual problem, addiction, is connected to a lack of meaning, community, or purpose in people's lives?
If you don't connect that spiritual journey, you'll never achieve what you want to achieve. Most people, most people are around 45 to 55% of their capability and capacity. Unless you jump on that spirit, I'm sorry, I've never seen any alcoholic, drug addict, depressed atheist. Just never seen it. So the spiritual journey, and again, God, Uncle Jimmy, I don't care what you call it, but the spiritual journey is a must. And only when you get the spiritual journey will you realize what life's all about. And you stop worrying about tomorrow and you stop worrying about yesterday and we got today. That is it. You're not guaranteed anything else, guys. So what are you hell me worrying for? We say, oh, God's got this. It's amazing. I'm earning. Everything's going great. And when it doesn't go great for a period of time and there's a learning patch in there for you, we want to freak out and take that power back. Oh my God, I'm worried. I might lose the house. Stop it already. And the spiritual journey, let's just say God, but obviously it could mean anything to you. God's circumstantial, man. What do you mean? I'm real true story. I'm flying from Manchester back to Austin some years ago. It was horrible weather in Manchester. It was like they was not going to take off. The lightning, thundering, and all of a sudden we got a slot. So we took off, and the captain warned us, "We're not going to turn the seatbelt. Do not get out your seat. It's going to be a bumpy ride for the next 10 or 15 minutes." Okay, so we climbs and climbs and climbs, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, probably weather, like we dropped into plane, and everybody grabbed hold of the seat, and everybody went like this. And during them seconds, my friend leans over to me and he said, "I wonder how many atheists are on the plane right now." Because everyone's, "Oh my God!" It's like, it's circumstantial. Something's out there. If you get on that spiritual journey, man, if you're there, it opens the world a billion times more to you when you start to see stuff. So when you're studying that sunlight of that spirit, whatever that spirit is, you're a different person and you're untouchable. Nobody can harm you. And you start to see the world for what it is. And what it is how much can I give back? Where there's a great story I always tell when I'm out uh, on speaking gigs, and that is a guy walked to the Golden Gate Bridge and threw himself off and committed suicide. The police pulled him out, found his ID, went back to the apartment, and they found looking for next of kin. They found a note, and it says, "I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge," which is an hour's walk, by the way, "throw myself off and commit suicide unless somebody on the way there smiles at me, nods at me, says good morning to me. In that case, I'll stop right there. I'll turn around and I'll try again tomorrow." Question: how many people, guys, have you walked past today that's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge? You see, we never know. A kind gesture, hello. I'm the annoying, irritable guy in the elevator when everyone's looking in different directions and quiet. I'm the hey, morning, guys. How we doing? We having a great day? No, sorry. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm that guy because you never know what God will put in front of you. You'll never know that a kind word or something will change somebody's day. And if you don't believe that's true, guys, next time you're in a built-up area of people, watch for somebody with sneakers. Sneakers the best. Walking towards you. I always say two words. Nice sneakers. That's it. I'm going to change the word with two words. It's impossible. Watch. Hey man, nice sneakers. Oh, thank you, man. Turn around and watch him walk away. He's going to look down his sneakers at least two or three times. Now you've changed his world, man, for a second, for a minute, for an hour. But what happens is when he goes home to his wife or girlfriend, because he's in a good mood, she's in a good mood, then the mother-in-law calls. And you have no idea how you've just changed the world. And it's about time we started realizing that everything we do has consequences. If I walk into a room with 10 people with a frown on my face, 10 people are going to frown back. If I walk in the same room with a smile on my face, people are going to smile back. It's like, how easy is it for us as a group to affect an individual to join the stuff that we're doing? So our group, somebody comes along into our group, and we change him as a group, so they walk around and a different person. Well, again, everything I say and do is all tried, tested, experimented with, trials, all that stuff, hospitals, psych wards. We've always done this. So we wanted to prove a point. So we got 9 actors in the waiting room and one real patient. I just said, "Can you come in for 20 minutes? Just want to put you on 9D for 12 minutes free of charge." And she's like, "Oh, thanks, I'll come along." But she didn't know about the 9 actors in there. So she came and everyone sat around and was doing their own stuff on the phones and everything. And the idea was that every 45 seconds we'd press a buzzer. And when we pressed the buzzer, they were told, the 9 actors, to stand up for a few seconds and then sit down. All 9 people stood up. Girl, back to her phone. They sat down. 45 seconds. Everyone stood up. She's like looking at them going, what's going on? And back to her phone a little bit. The third buzzer. So what's that, about 3 minutes? She stood up with everybody else and she sat down with everybody else. One by one, the actors who were supposed to be patients were called in until she was just there on her own. And she stood up. And that's the basis of our program is we'll bring you in here and we'll change you to what we do and believe. And then you're going to go out and have an amazing life no matter what happens around you. My father died. I relapsed it. Bullshit. That's not a reason to relapse, man. Are you kidding me? Well, you can see a relapse a week before. It's not a reason, man. Everybody has the chance. Everybody has the right to be happy every single day, no matter what you're going through. To practice smiling every day, being kind, complimenting 3 people, which releases dopamine into my brain and their brain. It's just neuroscience, man. You matter out there who's listening to this. You're not listening to this or watching this by mistake, man. I'm telling you now, you're not. You've jumped on here for a reason, and this is your alarm call, man. If you don't think you can be a leader, you are wrong. I don't care if you're a mom with three children in a one-bedroom apartment and the husband's left you because he's an idiot, and this is crossroads for you. We love people at crossroads because we're going to go a different direction the way you thought you were going. I don't care if it's a pro bono or someone paying 100 grand a month. I don't care. You're a human being that needs help, and we're going to freaking help you.
Uh, I think in this current generation, if people hear you saying, I don't care, they think, well, this guy has a lack of compassion. He doesn't have forgiveness. But what I'm hearing, it's quite the opposite. And I think it's important for people to understand that when we talk about compassion and forgiveness, we're not talking about being soft. We're talking about having a heart for what people really need. And is that kind of
Exactly.
where you are the
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay? I think of
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay going into these restaurants when he's telling these people their food fucking sucks.
Yeah.
He's not doing it to be mean. He's doing it to wake them up.
And I think you either love me or you hate me out there. What I mean by that is when you come on board, I don't care if you come on board or not, is the stance. And it's a bit like police officers. There's a point where you have to stop and isolate you away from that. Otherwise, it's going to ruin your life with trauma. Like if someone with a face blown off or something. I mean, that stays in your brain for the rest of your life. So you have to put a point where, listen, if you come on board, then you're my deal. If you don't come on board for a reason, I don't care if you come on board or not. But if you do, we're all over you. If you don't, you can call here 50 times a day for help. We're still with you. But what I do, and a lot of people don't do, is when I'm being harsh with somebody, I'm being harsh to the disease, not you as a person. And that gets explained to every person. So if I tell you to fuck off out of my office, don't come back for 3 days, I'm doing that to shock your system into believing that, hey, this guy's a real deal and I'm not going to mess around. Uh, I we give and give and give and give, man. We love a lot of people. People turn up at the office not ready, and we'll give them $20. Somebody said once, you know what they're going to do with that? And I said, well, I hope they're going to buy drugs or alcohol because that's what I would do when I was homeless. I mean, the big heart with everybody in here, but it has to come a point where you have to cut yourself off and go, listen, if you can't help yourself, we can't help you because I tried that for so long, Doc. And what happened is I was put into a psychiatric hospital about, I don't know how many years ago because I tried to help everybody. I know my feelings were their feelings. And I got, every time somebody worked me, took a piece away with me. What I did is I nearly died. And they rushed me into hospital and I had a nervous breakdown. So I have to distance myself. But yeah, you're right in what you're saying. But, everybody thinks when you come here, time is of the essence. Everyone thinks they have time. So how did we know that? Well, again, we went into a hospice over the years with friends or family whose loved ones were in the dying stage. And we asked them one question: what's one thing that you thought was true but isn't? And they basically all said the same thing. I thought I had more time. We don't have time, guys. Moms, how many times have you said that? 1 minute I'm waving them off to kindergarten. Next minute I'm waving them off to college. We don't have time, man. So it's a hard shock system when you walk in here. And we'll love you to death with you coming here or not. But at the end of the day, is do you want to get well or not? That's it. Well, next. Well, that's where you kind of give up. I mean, you give up on yourself. I ain't got time to be wasting that. If you want it, it's here. Come and get it. It's 100% guaranteed, money back guarantee. If you don't want it, please go to a treatment center or go and get help. We're not you guys.
So, what role do we play as a society to prevent people from going down that avenue in the first place?
The addiction route, you
Yeah.
mean? Well, there's lots of things that we can do and look for. So we've put together food that causes addiction. We've put together food that causes illnesses. Uh, so there's lots of things we can do. First of all, if your loved one's suffering, dialogue. That's it. Start with dialogue. If your husband or children are suffering, do everything you can uh, to get them help because they think just like me that I'm on my own. Nobody's like this. Nobody does this. I'm home at the bedroom drinking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My wife's at work and I'm just a piece of crap. I can't let it's a secret. No, it's no secrets anymore, guys. Just be truth and honest. And 99.9.999.9, it's going to be okay. But you can't keep it to yourself. You can't. The disease and the spiritual side of this thing loves isolation. It loves getting you back into your apartment or bedroom with the blinds closed and the phone turned off. That's what it wants. Then it'll kill you. Make no mistake about it. And people sometimes freak out. You can't tell that. Yeah, I kind of can, and I kind of will. That if you're a real alcoholic or drug addict, you're going to die. If you don't get help, that's it. So this is your life we're talking about. So we're very adamant about that. Is This is life or death for you guys, and let's give you some things to look for. Let's give you some things to do. Like this. So God bless my wife, man. My wife, Courtney, who's my media director, you've been speaking to. They have the phone on 24 hours a day, and we tell people that obviously the addict or alcoholic, depression, PTSD guys are going to call us. But as family members, mums and dads, brothers, sisters, wives, or husband, you can call that number anytime you want. And there's somebody there going to talk to you. Nobody's going to try and sell you anything. You can call 100 times a day. My wife spent hours on the phone with families, giving them advice and stuff like that. And I don't think you can get there anywhere else. I've never heard of a treatment saying you can call up and spend hours on the phone with no end result, as in paying for treatment. No, we don't do that. 9 out of 10 times when they come to us and go, hey, listen, da 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 da, we go, hey, listen, you need to go to be able to treat me for it. No, you need to go to treatment. Use your insurance because we don't take insurance. Use your insurance, go to treatment, and if it still continues, come see us. Because this is about compassion for another human being. This is about the free thing that we do with the families. Is my mom died early of cancer because of what I was putting them through. The doctor told me that. Her medical doctor says she's died years before her time, Rob, because of what you put them through, and they didn't know what to do. And once my mom told me when I was homeless that she just wished a police officer would come and knock on the door and tell her that I was dead, just so she could be free of all the worry. That's why we do that. We know that loved ones and stuff like don't know what's going on. And that's the hypothalamus we talked about. When that clicks and you have to drink alcohol only and everything else is abandoned, the loved ones don't know that. They don't know why dad has all of a sudden turned into this monster that hates them. So lack of information. I'm sick to death of people dying from lack of information about what we're going through. Because if you think about it, Doc, unless they can stick you in treatment or give you a pill, nobody wants to know. Nobody's coming for her. No one's knocking at the door going, hey, here's a wet. No one's doing that. Have you ever been to the doctors and give you a pill that cured your illness so you never have to take the pill again? No, you've never done that. No one's interested in you getting well. No one's interested in you getting well. There's no money in it.
That's where I say it's a spiritual problem because, again,
Definitely.
if it wasn't a spiritual problem, we would be engaged with one another's lives. We'd be trying to help one another rather than, okay, well, what can I gain from this?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's hard to do, man.
Yeah.
I'm sat here with all these years' experiences. I'm sat with running. I have 4 companies, so we have multi-million-dollar companies. It's easy now for me, but in the early days, we still wouldn't do it, man. We still, if you're not ready, you're not ready. There's nothing. I turn an actress, oh no, her music star, huge, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, for $1 million, and we turned her down, man, because she wasn't ready. And that's what people don't know. They see me on shows sometimes. It's fucking you. And if you don't do it, oh God, he's a no. Come on. When you've been through what we've been through, man, it's not all that. It's a case of people are dying, and it needs to stop. So I don't care what your political views are, guys out there. I never get into politics, and I'll give you one reason why. No one's done fuck all for me in the 20 years I've been here. It's an inside job. I don't care. But Kennedy, who's going to be our new health minister, watch that guy. That guy wants to change the world, man, and I'm on board with him. So this is about changing the world. This is about getting people connected to a spiritual journey. This is about families being reunited, because that's our biggest game. If we take you on as a patient, let's say the wife brings you, you come on as a patient, your wife has to come on board for 2 days a week. You've got to do 7, she has to do 2. Because the family system has programs us that we've done back years ago and experimented as when the partner comes on board in the patient's journey, the success rate goes up by 42%. Now, what you'll get sometimes in treatment centers, you get the wife in once a month and the wife will sit there and complain what the husband's done and the husband has to take it. It's like bullshit. It's like, we're going to work on your trauma, Mrs. Johnson. Well, I've got no trauma. I mean, this is a problem. It's not my problem. Okay. Oh, really? So you got no trauma? No, no. It's his problem. Okay. Well, explain this. Why do you let your husband come home 3 or 4 nights a week drunk and fist fight you in front of the children? Well, why do you allow that? And the tears start, and it's like, it's the family system dynamics, this guy's. It's not one person coming in and getting well. It doesn't work like that. Can you imagine, like, let's say the house here with the family, the alcoholic dad. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to keep blaming you as the man being alcoholic, but it's just easy to explain. So the house is here, okay? There's a wife and there's 2 children, 12 and 19 in the house, okay? Then there's us here. This house speaks Chinese, for instance. We have our own language in recovery. Let's call it English. So we pick this guy who speaks Chinese and we put him in this English house here. If we don't teach him how to speak English, if we don't get him well as teaching this house to speak English, when we pick this guy up who now's fluent in English, stick him back in the Chinese speaking house, guess what? He's going to start speaking Chinese. So they both have to be on the same level. These need to know what dad's going through, what to expect when he comes home. He needs to sort his disease out so when he goes back home, he understands what he's put the family through. And there's no blame here, by the way. It's a disease. And once you do that, everyone's talking on the same page.
Seems like we could have that same attitude in almost every situation in our lives.
100%. Yeah. 100%, man. But we just, as a society, we're individuals these days. Phones, iPads, it's ridiculous. We do an experiment with families as well. They go, who's into iPhone? And the daughter, 21, like, oh yeah, every day, man, play games and everything. It's okay. But you don't know what dad's going through. I can't understand why he does this. I don't know what's going on. Well, part of his brain, his reward system and survival is telling him to drink or use drugs. Do you understand that? Well, kind of, but I don't. Okay, I want you to do one thing for me tonight when you go home. At 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock, I want you to put your phone on the kitchen table where you can see it, but away from the kitchen table. Every time you look at that phone, that's how an alcoholic and addict is. And sooner or later, you're going to go and pick that up because you can't stand it anymore. That's what we go through. So again, it's the understanding. It's like the worst thing that happened to any human being in the last 10 years was COVID. And I do not mean any kind of illness or disease. That's a whole new topic that I'm really angry about. But when we did our research on death row, we found out that most people that reached the chair were insane. Why were insane? Isolation and taking their identity off them. So they weren't John, they were 56223. What happened with COVID? We isolated people and we took their identity off them with the mask. So the back after bash from that is going to be in about a year's time where we're going to have real problems with people. And nobody's going to put it down to the COVID thing because that's forgotten now. It's okay. You can't mess with the human brain like that and expect it to function properly. You just can't do it.
And it's scary to think of the damage we've done to the children that are coming up through all of that.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why there's more and more of us now standing and going, hey, listen, what you've been taught is not right. We've been taught about all this addiction stuff and spiritual journeys. It's not right. There's a different side that works, a different side that you've been kept away from. The biggest myth is you can drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. It's like, what? No, what? That's I can't believe that we used to say that, but it's not true. And how many other myths are we talking about throughout with different parts? I don't know, with school, with life, with phones, with everything. Is that we've been blindfolded for so long. We've been poisoned by the food companies. We've been brainwashed by the pharmaceutical companies. It's like we're on our own, man. We got to start mixing. We got to start hanging with like-minded people. We can't keep staying away from the light and stay in that darkness. You can't do it. You will die. You will die a miserable person. Let's put it that way. You can be happy every day. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. Don't let anybody try and put them brakes in your imagination. They're just jealous. So there's two kinds of people in this world, guys. There's the people that love you for who you are and the people that are jealous of you. That is it. That's it, guys. Don't think there's anybody else. Nobody will ever criticize you on your journey or anything about you that's doing as good as you or better. You only get the naysayers. They do not want you to succeed because then they've kind of lost you as a friend, or they think. So you have to pull away from that cesspit, man. You really have to stand up and go, you know something? I want to change. Whether you alcohol, drugs, depression, whatever it is, I want to change. And start with that first step. Look around you. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The people you hang around with are the people that you'll become. And that's why measurement is very important with human beings. Monkey see, monkey do. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it's going to be. So we talked about the experiment in the waiting room. Well, you're doing the same thing with your friends around you. I lived in Dallas for 14 years, Doc, and said to my friend, I'm thinking of writing a book. They're like, oh, it's stupid. Can't write a book. You're not an author. What's wrong with you? No one wants to hear your story. I never wrote a book, Doc. I came down to San Antonio 4 years ago and I said to my new friend, you know something? Thinking of writing a book. Oh my, you haven't wrote a book? What is wrong with you? I wrote a book. And I think everybody should write a book, by the way, guys. It's the most healing thing that I've ever done. I've never read it yet. Okay. I mean, I'll put that out there because I just haven't. I never read anything. I never read all my white papers. I never watch myself on TV, podcasts. I never do that. And I'll tell you why. And maybe this is something that's fixing in me, but I stay away from that shit. Is there are times when I dip into my life with the stuff I have around me that I think I'm better than everybody else. And if I start listening to all them reviews, if I watch myself going out to millions of dollars, I used to have a thing on the doctors and Eye Opener, and Oprah. You can start thinking you're all that in a bag of chips. And I can't get into that. I might start believing that hype and shit. It's none of my business. I do my job, I go home. That's it. And when I get home, our home is like a sanctuary to us. Everything is left. Now, if she takes phone calls of suffering wives or husbands, she takes it in the other room. Apart from that, there's a cut-off time when I take my jacket off and I put my pajamas on, and we have to get our own deal. We have to look after ourselves because that's what caregivers do. They never look after themselves. So all of a sudden, you start getting depressed. You've got to realize that every other people that you help, you take a piece of them away with you. And unless you're healing yourself on a weekly basis, you become spiritually sick.
So, how can people foster a sense of purpose or connection, even if they don't identify with any specific faith or belief system?
Go on Facebook, man. Find some groups around you. You know, whatever you think you are, and whatever you think you're less than, you're never good enough, all that shit is not true. Somebody in a group that you have never seen on Facebook yet, of people you don't even know waiting for you. That's how this world works. It's all about quantum physics and measurement, learned behavior. It's all about that stuff is connected, man. So one day you'll get brave enough to say, well, I don't really go on this journey, but I'll tell you what, I like hiking. So there's a local hiking group. I get on there, start talking to people, like-minded people, and all of a sudden you're up and going, man. And then one day someone's go, hey, listen, Johnny's off today. Can you take the group as the leader of this? And you go, yeah, of course I can. Well, I'm telling you, man, you don't have to wait years to do that, guys. You are the leader. You are the leader of your house, of the family, of people around you. You are a leader. And it's all about mindset. If you think you never achieve anything, you're right. If you think you're going to achieve anything, you're right. Once you find out that it's not about you, it was never about me, Doc, never about me. And I always thought it was. It's like, poor me, shut up, will you? That's why I'm a little bit like Gordon today. Is I get sick of the bullshit that people are saying. Well, I think I want to do it next. I ain't got time for that, man. We ain't got time for it here. Come on, it's a race, man. Well, it's not a race, Rob. You should really take care of it. No, it's a race. I was fucking dying and nobody was around to help me. And I died on the streets and nobody gave a shit about me. Don't fucking tell me it's not a race. It's a race to get well. And once you get well, man, you're putting on another universe, man. It's like this, walking around like this all the time through your life. All of a sudden you want to change. It's like this. Go, oh my God, all them opportunities are around me. I couldn't see them. So then we flip over to quantum physics real quick. We go, hey, quantum physics says, for instance, that I can be in many places at the same time when I visualize. Let's take a basketball court. 10 people on the basketball court, I think, can never play basketball. Can I visualize myself in like 5 places? Yeah, of course I can. I can see me. Can you see yourself near the goal? Well, I'm not stupid. I know I play, but I'm not doubt if I'm near the goal. I get the ball, put it in the net, and the hero of the game. I can see that. But how do we get there? You walk over and you take that fucking position. You don't crawl for it. You don't beg for it. It's yours. So someone up there is looking after you, some kind of spiritual journey you've been on. And now it's time to go and collect the prizes, to give back to other people. and be the leader you need to be. Walk over and take that position, man. And the family will improve. You'll improve. Friends, you'll get on podcasts. You may start a podcast. You might get on TV. You might speak in front of a bunch of people at AA. You're changing people's lives on a daily basis. Because let's face it, if you're not changing lives on a daily basis, if you're not changing the world, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? You're doing nothing. Nothing. Selfish. Sat at home. Just get out there, man. Your world will change.
I like to, when I spell the word extraordinary, I put extra in parentheses because I think a lot of times people are in pretty ordinary positions and they think I'm not having any impact or significance in the world. And in reality is that person might be the person that has asked somebody about their sneakers and changed their lives, was kept that person from jumping off the bridge. And many times we don't even see in our lives the impact we have until years later. We may never.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the little bit of a downside is you're never going to see the full effect that you have on people, and you're never going to know how really good you are, and how special you are. So we have to remember that the key to life is realizing that now. It's not in 30 years' time when you're sat in a rocking chair and you go and you look at something on the iPad. You go, you know something, I was kind of pretty good back in those days. Because when you realize now that you're pretty good, when you realize today how good you are and how much benefit and how good looking you are and beautiful you are as a woman. And when you realize that today, that's the key to life. I I was back at home with my parents died and we're looking through some old photographs and my friend goes, Rob, it's like, what? Look at this photograph, man. And we were bodybuilders and we were there, body of waist were like this big and our phone big arms. And he went, oh my God, but look how beautiful we were, man. And I went, okay, no, right? Look how, God, I never knew. He said, Rob, those were the days, man. And I said, yeah, but we didn't know those were the days back then. What if today's one of those days? And we both started crying.
Yeah.
Fuck, what if today's one of those days, man? And that's how we live our life today. Whatever you do today is have a ripple effect. Whatever you do, stop sitting at home. Human beings were never meant to sit down, guys. They really weren't. Go to sleep in a bed for 8 hours, great, but not to sit down all day. Your body will get fucked up. You won't be able to do anything. You'll get old quicker than your time. Stop it already. So get out there, start mixing with a smile on your face. Even if people tell you to get away, it doesn't make any difference. You've changed his life anyway. It's not your deal to worry about them after. It's your deal to present an opportunity for them or present a dream for them or a compliment. Or we have three things in the morning that we do religiously. All my patients and me do every single day to change the world because you've got to change yourself. So one of the reasons why nobody's ever woke up laughing in the morning is lack of oxygen. Now, lack of oxygen is the most underrated thing in the world. So the presence of oxygen equals the lack of disease. So every illness, including cancers, including Alzheimer's, everything like that, start in a hypoxic area of the body. We only breathe 45% of our lung capacity. One of the reasons that you feel so good going to the gym or riding a bike is the exercise. We're getting the oxygen in. So when we wake up in the morning, our subconscious mind wakes us up because it thrives in a hypoxic situation. So that's the guy who wakes us up. This is the guy who wants to kill you, make it look like an accident, wants to be mean, wants to steal, wants to date next door's, what? This is the guy who wakes us up, man, whether you like it or not. So the 20 exaggerated breaths in and out first thing in the morning gets rid of this guy and sparks in the conscious brain because the conscious brain loves the oxygen. Now you've got that for 24 hours, not an AA thing, guys. 3 parts of the brain reset in 24 hours. That's where it comes from. AA adopted that saying. So now you've got this guy running the show, okay, for 24 hours, which is brilliant. I have a guest who wakes up tomorrow morning. It's this guy. Reset. So you've got to do that every single morning. Go into the bathroom. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, do a week on the left, week on the right, week on the left, week on the right. Let's change some patterns and neural pathways around. And secondly, I need to stand in front of the mirror 6 feet away from the mirror and say, I love you 10 times. I feel stupid. It's going to sound stupid. Close the bathroom door in case your wife hears you kind of stupid. But we're replenishing part of the neural pathways that die. The reason why we don't stand when we're doing makeup or shaving is we see all our blemishes when we're close to the mirror. We think that's how people see us. So our confidence is hit a little bit. Oh, there's a line there. I'm getting old. When's the last time you were in the office? Hey, buddy, how you? We don't do that. So stand 6 feet away, all the blemishes disappear, and get out and do your best that day. Do better than your best. It's not about you. So if you sat down there wondering if it's not about you, stop it already. It's not about you. People waiting, people dying out there waiting for you, guys at home, to get your shit together. So come on, stop being selfish. Get out there.
Again, this is one of those pauses where I have to sit back and just absorb what I just heard. I was going to ask you one piece of wisdom or insight from your own life or work that you believe will help people to address these spiritual challenges, but I think you've just kind of given us that. If there is one change you could make to help address what you see as a spiritual problem in the world, which here we are talking about addiction, what would that be?
I think bigger platform. I mean, I'm not, the big platform you get, guys, it's not about you or ego and shit of being on TV. The more people who reach in this short period we have on earth and infect them with this amazing stuff, the better. The spiritual journey, when you're open minded, will get you there. So you got to stay open minded. You really are. Look at the stuff around you. Just stop during the day and look at the stuff. Because if you don't, it causes complacency, and complacency causes stagnant. The stagnant will kill you. Look around, man, at what you've got, and be thankful about what you've got. Because you can bet what you have right now, you probably prayed or wished for 2 years ago. And in 10 years' time, you won't give a shit of anything around you right now. So you got to realize what it's about. It's about now. And I want the biggest platform in the world. I don't want to be, I've been on national TV programs. I've hosted national TV programs. I've done books. I want a bigger stage. The bigger stage is the world. And I'm not going to stop till I get there. And my spiritual journey is just getting better and better every day. It's better today talking to you. My spiritual journey is better today talking to you because I don't know how many of these you've done, but you've not been on as many shows as I have. Believe me, you haven't. She gets me busy every day. And I tell you what, you're one of the best podcast hosts that I've ever spoken to
Well,
because
thank
of
you.
your demeanor, your questions. And there's not once have you interrupted me. The other podcasts, and everyone, you want to tell their story. I tell a story, they go, oh, yeah, well, I've got one better than that. No, the audience don't need to hear that shit. Go on a podcast, but your demeanor and everything, and we laughed before we began here, and the whole connection. You've made my day, my spiritual journey. We've been put together for a reason. Nothing happens by mistake. If you think it does, guys, I love you, bless you, and all that, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. But if you see something in life that's happening, or open up to that stuff, man.
Well, thank you. You just made my day, my week, my year with those comments. And the reason I do this podcast isn't for anybody probably other than myself. I really can give a crap whether anybody watches it. And we are not making, I made $7 on my other podcasts over 3 years. But my goal is to be purposeful and again, that capital P. And I think that's what's important. And too much in our society today, and you hear, if you want to make it big in podcasting, all this stuff, you got to be on Instagram and you got to be promoting yourself. And it's like, I don't want to just promote myself to get clicks. I want to impact people. And if it's only a handful of people that watch this interview, and I hope it's a lot more than that, then if one of those 5 people have their lives changed, we've done something today.
Done it. Done it. Check it off today. You've done it. I spoke at this place once. I swear. There was 2 people there. It's supposed to be like 200 and something happened, a smash near the airport. People going. There was 2 people there. And I spoke to them 2 people as if there were 5,000 in the room. We don't make any difference. Our job is not to count clicks, like you said, and that's what I love about you, man. When I did my I started my podcast again next week, but I look at it, it's like 4 viewers. I don't care. I'm not. What? Them 4 people are supposed to be on this, listening to this. I do a TikTok every morning. The most I've ever had on is 40 people.
Yeah.
That What I don't bother about that. The 40 people, the one person, the two people that you're speaking to needs to hear what you need to say to them. You've been put in a position to do this. And when we start doing that, life becomes different. But it, I've podcasted for years and years, and I can tell you now from doing my own podcast, is it becomes a lonely job. It becomes lonely when you're doing this because like nobody cares, nobody's watching. It's like, no, man, it's the opposite. You're getting your reps in. That's what you're doing. And when your spiritual God, whatever is ready, it's going to flood you with more things than you've ever imagined. But you can't do it too soon because people would break. Like it's too much all at once. So that's what we're doing, man. He's paving the way for us to do great things in this world. But you just got to keep on, man. It's lonely. It's lonely sometimes, man. It really is. But your podcast got like 2 clicks on it. You go, oh God, he still worried me in the early days, and then I got my spirit provider who spoke to me, explained to me, it's not the clicks, it's not the viewers. Someone out there has been going to listen to this, watch this, maybe one person out of whatever, and that's lives you're going to change. So stop worrying about people. Stop worrying about what they think about you. The biggest thing I did at the age of 60, I'm 63 now. I've lost 157 pounds over the last 2 years. But when I got to 60, I made a decision for myself that I'm stop giving a shit what people think about me. And it was like the whole world had just been lifted off my shoulders. Even though the great stuff I've done, the great things I've done, when you stop, really stop, I don't mean, oh, you heard Johnny made this comment on your Facebook. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Yeah, you do. You do. It's human mentality. You do. The idea is to get to a place where you really don't. So sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me is totally wrong. Words kill us, man, if you're not careful. I did a California gig once. There was 1,000 people there. And we know that because of the fire restrictions, you had to click everybody in. There was 1,000 tickets, 1,000 people are in there. And I was told after the talk, you need to stick around for at least 2 hours because what we do in this group is everybody will come up and want to thank you. There'll be a line out the door. Just be patient. I'm like, I agree. 999 people said I was amazing, that they're fan. One person said, listen, I thought you were shit. You were too angry. You just weren't for me. Have a guess who I concentrated on for the next 2 months and nearly relapsed. Is that one guy? You have to get to a place where that shit doesn't bother you, man. And all the stuff we talked about in this podcast will get you there. Will get you there, man. It's like nobody really cares. If I walk into a room and I slam the door behind me and a group of people turn around and look at me, they're not looking at me, looking at the noise from the door. When I dress like really nice and I go out, nobody gives a shit how I'm dressed. They've got their own problems going on. And when you start to realize no one's talking about you, no one's laughing at you, everyone's doing their own shit and we're on our own. It's an inside job. We've got to get inside job people to meet inside job people to get out there and help other people to get inside job people. That's what we got to do. Spiritual journey. Number one, guy, I'm sorry if I don't believe in God, I don't believe in spiritual journey is one thing. Without that, you can't look after your family. You can't make any money. You can't be the who want to be. Most people in the situations that we've talked about through the podcast have lost their identity. And when you lose your identity, all bets are off, man. You can't do shit because you don't know who you are. So finding your identity is really important. We're really big on that here. If a wife splits up with her husband, we find the wives have no identity because it's been the husband's football games, the husband's friends, the husband's team. It's come out lost, don't know who they are. So you have to find what you're about. And then once you find that, you just need to push that envelope, man. If money's used to be my deal at once. If I was just getting like 100 grand in the bank, Janet, let's just get 100 grand. And I'll stop worrying. I swear to God, I'll be happy. 100. Oh, just 500,000. Like 500,000, man. I've never seen 500,000. I swear to God. Let's get 1 million, man. 10. If I had 10 million, nothing. I did all that. And I realized that money doesn't buy shit around you. And God wants us to have good shit around us. I have really good toys and shit around me, but nothing I can't buy cash. I'm not going to debt for stuff like that. We're all meant to have stuff like that, without a doubt. I think I'm not. I used to be embarrassed about the car I drove. I'm not anymore. I have 4 cars today. I'm proud of them 4 cars. I'm proud of. I have a watch collection. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of everything I do, man, because I know my identity today. And once somebody knows your identity, you become a very, very, very fucking powerful person. Come
So,
on, baby, mic drop out.
yeah, I don't know where to end with that. I mean, kind kind of final question I've been asking kind of on this podcast is for listeners who are struggling with their own sense of purpose and meaning. What's one small step they can take today to start addressing that?
Do the three things in the morning, guys. The oxygen, mirror work, and teeth work is what we call it. Start that and then compliment three people every day. And your life will start changing. I mean, you could do them on your own in your bedroom, nobody knows, but you will change because of them actions that you're taking. And then keep pushing it. Well, I've got three good friends now. Can I have four? Well, I've got one daughter back. Can I get three of them back? Well, I've earned 500. Can I earn a million? I mean, it's just whatever you want and makes you happy so you can help other people. It's waiting for you. Everything around you that you've ever wished for is already there. You just can't see it. Because every neural pathway, there are billions in the head. Scientific research that we did. Every neural pathway in the head to success, to wealth, best dad, best mom, that is already in your head. It's already in the brain, man. So the idea is, of course, this is a neural pathway to wealth. This is my thought pattern that wants to be. Keeps missing. Doesn't connect. Why does it not connect? Childhood trauma, feeling crap. When it connects, this is what we specialize in. You can't disconnect that neural pathway. This has always been there. Get this shit sorted out so you can connect. And then your biggest journey in the world is how many people can I help today? How many people can I change somebody's life today? And my office is in San Antonio. I own a restaurant next door. It's called the Old English Tea Shop. And the reason why we did that is because people love English food, love high teas and all that stuff. But I go in there to speak to people, and they often write on Facebook, "Oh God, even Dr. Robb Kelly came in to see me. It's such a pleasure." It's like, I'm glad you think that way, and bless you for that. But my job is, can I affect them people having dinner? Can I say something? Can I touch every table and change lives? That's what always gas station, car wash, whatever you are, janitor. I always give money to the janitor in the airports. I have no idea what that's about, but I always do because you see them there, the guys that nobody sees. And I love the guys that nobody sees because that used to be me when people used to walk over me on the streets and throw shit at me on the streets and nobody cared or listened to me on the streets. They throw dirty diapers at me. Nobody, I was the Mr. Nobody that nobody cared about. So when I see them guys doing it, I shake their hand, I give them some money, I bless them. I say thank you for what you do, and I come out. I mean, you've changed his world, but you've also changed yours. Nobody's too high for you to speak to, like CEOs and stuff. They're just like you. They just don't have breaks on the imagination. Forget school and college, man. The ROI on a college degree used to be amazing. Doesn't mean shit today. And now, if you've got one, brilliant, awesome. But if you haven't, stop penning that on. Well, I didn't go to college. Good. That's what we say without people are taking on. Well, I'm not a therapist. Good. Let me teach you what we do in here. Your life experience, number one, your life experience. That's the number one degree that we're looking for in this company. Your life experience. Show me your school of hard knocks. Show me that degree when you come in here for a job. Don't be giving me these college degrees and you've never been through shit. Give me the life experience. It's really important that we know that.
So my gender studies degree is not worth anything.
I love it.
And I think I just spoiled a great ending to the podcast with that. This is one, my other podcast, I always end with keep aging well. I have this tagline. I'm finding this podcast is impossible to have a tagline because my guests just bring everything to a conclusion. It's just like, I can't add anything to that. We just got to end on that note. And I think that's where we're at. I mean, this has just been a fascinating conversation. I would love to just keep chatting with you, but I know you have lives to change today. And I got to say, based on our conversation, I have lives to change today. And hopefully everybody that's listening to this podcast will go away from it like, I have a life to change, whether it's one life, two lives, three.
Before we go, let's change some more lives. So
yes, we got to do that.
It's the last thing my daughter said to me is, Daddy, please stop drinking. It's like she wrote it. So there's me, wasted, completely wasted on a visit because she was 3 when I took her home. I think she's about 5 there. So Daddy, please stop drinking. It's on Amazon, guys. But listen, I don't know how much it is, but don't buy it on Amazon. uh, email me or come and find me or Dr. Jeff. And if you contact me on Facebook or anything, just say, hey, I was listening to Dr. Jeff show and you were on there. I'll sign this personally to you. I'll ship it over free of charge. It's all free for you. It'll be in the mail the next day when you tell me, on one condition. First of all, let's start liking this show, guys. Okay, let's get them buttons pressed. And secondly, please give this away to somebody who would benefit. Don't keep it on your shelf. It's not that kind of book. Give it away. You'll laugh, you'll cry. But I want to give 10 copies of this away. And if 20 people apply, we'll do 20 or 50 or 100. It don't make any difference. But it's there if you want it, guys. So thank you so much, Dr. Jeff. It's been amazing. You are amazing. Uh, I don't know. I got a feeling we're going to be BFFs
That
because
sounds
I
good
like
to me.
people on my path. Yeah, I love people on my path. And in the interim period, if there's anything I can do for you or your journey, man, just contact us, man. I'd love to help.
I appreciate that. And I will put links to the book, to your, you want email on there or a website, or what's the best way for our listeners and viewers to kind of
Yes,
connect?
stick it on the website, robbkelly.com, robbkelly.com, spell my name with two B's. Jump on there, you'll find it, and you can also message me. Don't buy the book from the site, please. Unless you can afford it, then great. But I don't. We don't receive any money. It all goes out to people that need it. So if you do want to do that, great. The RobbKellyFoundation.org is also out there. If you can spare $1, brilliant. If you can't, give us a call. I might give you $1.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to end and just say thank you and, just keep doing what you're doing.